see all our sponsors? Go buy stuff. Okay. Did I tell you about the temple website?
Yep.
Right now it's only about the sponsors. Yep, more or less. So I've got introduced you. Did anyone else who showed up here tonight order a t-shirt? Limited edition? Yes, first press, only press. But if you go to Raleigh SEO Meetup.org, which is the site that is not Meetup for this, you can see next month's design, which was done by Zoe Design. Excellent graphic designer here. All right, so we're going to get started tonight. Tonight's is creating the right content to connect. And we're very glad to have two super smart, genius level marketing women with us tonight. First is Mr. Heather Frazier. Who's an excellent leader. Heather Kilcrease, who is a consultant, helps with marketing for companies all over the triangle. The other is Amber Frazier-Finkelstein. I'm going to edit that out. Amber Frazier-Finkelstein that works for Retro M, which is temperamental. Who also helps businesses publish stories better and get their marketing message out there. But they have both been doing a lot of work in this particular niche of creating the right content so that you can connect with the people who are going to buy your products or services or that sort of thing. So without further ado, welcome to the first day of October, but it's the September meetup.
Thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? Well, you sound pretty tired on this one. So, Phil kind of got it wrong. My name is Heather, and I'm a former trapeze artist with Phil. See him up there? Term marketer. And this is Amber, former vampire slayer turned writer. That's how we met Phil. He does many things and wears many hats and jackets and SEO shirts. You should take yours. So I know that sounds ridiculous, both of us as trapeze artists and vampire slayers, but put that in there for the point. The trapeze artist has to let go of one of the bars before he or she can grab another. And really, that's not my wonderful analogy. I wish it was. Dale Blank was the one that came up with that, but you have to take leaps of faith. And with content marketing, it's also a leap of faith that you have to take. You have to take a leap of faith that your customers are going to be interested in what you have to say. You have to take a leap of faith that you're writing the right thing. You have to take a leap of faith that you're putting the right photo with the right blog. It all is really just kind of guesswork. Anyone that says that they're an expert is a liar. So, a little bit behind why Amber and I kind of work for ourselves is for a long time we watched people get it wrong and tell us that we were getting it wrong. And in content marketing, anything in general, it really takes just kind of an empathy to know your customer. No one likes to be shouted at. No one really likes that intrusive stuff. Shiesty sales calls, which Phil loves to do. Keyword stuffing, that kind of stuff. But during our jobs, our bosses would say things like, "You're not doing it right. You need to throw more stuff on the wall. See what sticks. Oh, you made 25 calls? Why don't you make one more and leave another message? Oh, that email didn't work? You can send another one." And quite frankly, that doesn't work at all. Now, Amber has a wonderful story about how she ventured out on her own. It all makes sense a little bit later with why I'm diving so much with our background.
So yeah, Amber, we were working on it, and Heather kind of touched on why we ended up on our own. But one of the main things is, do you ever feel like every day of your life you go to work and you do as much as you have to do to somebody that you know how unproductive you were, and then you can really just spend the amount of time on the living and audio? And it seems fine as long as you get raises and you never get in trouble. But at the end of the day, you have, what are we trying to love and put 100% of our effort in 100% of the time? Instead of putting 10% of our effort in, and then just doing what we require and showing up. Not really doing anything. So that's why I decided to do it. I just moved to a writer, and then I was told that it was going to be really hard, and I could do them. But then I was like, everything else is so much harder than doing what you want. So yeah, then I started with the own last few years ago, and we're definitely kind of working our own lane, so to speak, and go into the sites during the training presentation that there's you can listen, but there's no formula. There's no formula. We're not going to be doing a secret thing where you can just plug things in. So that's kind of the beauty of what we're talking about. The student is actually what makes it fun, relevant.
So speaking of relevancy, one thing that the financial crisis of 2007 brought about was kind of a new marketing landscape where customers realized they no longer wanted to be shouted at. They no longer wanted to get intrusive sales calls a million times a day. I don't know how many of you answer your phone if you don't know a number. Not at all. I mean, if it doesn't come up with someone's name, even if someone's name is on there, I hardly answer it. Those tactics are pretty much obsolete. And the old way of doing things is let's put so much in front of people so that they're overwhelmed and they must be, interested in our things. But that's pretty intrusive. I think that that's a great thing that came about because, alas, the shiesty salesman is dead. There are still some of them out there. You can see some of the top that I put in these slides. It's pretty ridiculous. So it's pretty much the new marketing strategy where organic marketing, customers come to you through search engines, blogs, social media. There's a two-way communication where it's not all about you and it's not all about taking money. It's really about marketing created through information or entertainment. You can see which one I choose. Marketing to customers by actually providing value rather than
Yes. Now, I tell you that during this time, I'm going to be glancing through the book because I get kind of tangential, and so maybe the maybe there is more of a real bit more. But one of the important things that people don't really understand about SEO and content is that it's a conversation. A lot of people in the content marketing and put this out there, this is what I would want to hear. So if I write it and I put what I need in it, then it'll be great. marketing is like a relationship. And I want you to think about the last relationship you had with your significant other that it had to do something about the option. And I want you to think about how that was offered. And actually the language of here is very, very similar. You want to engage people through a dialogue, not a one-sided conversation. The best content marketing actually happens when you read it and it resonates. It's not so much about what they're trying to sell you as much as this is something I do my life to make it better. It's time and more money. And that's usually the things that resonate with people. And most content formulas are, I'm being nice and saying that they're practical at best. But for the most part, I don't believe that they work because if someone were to put you in front of someone and then there's an equation that represents you, is that real? Does it matter? No. It's their perceived vision of you, but it's not real. And that's kind of what happens when you read blog posts about, just say your name, what you're doing, wonders here, go about you. So the best thing you can really do is just answer the question honestly and completely, and so whatever someone is searching for, it will come up because it's what they need. The last thing you need is somebody coming to your landing page or your blog and leaving because you wrote the wrong content, misrepresented yourself. Then it's a matter of if they refund you again, they don't care because you've already misrepresented. But it's good to ask yourself, what kind of, where's their room for reason and where's their room for logic in content marketing? There's a little bit of it, but again, it's just like, and I want you guys to keep going back to this, it's just like a relationship. I want you to think about where reason has a place in a relationship. But on the other side, it's like,
you're happy over here.
But it does take good practice to be a good communicator and a good writer. And a lot of people struggle with that because they think, I don't have the training, I don't really understand, the technical aspects of content, SEO, and things like that. But it's actually like practicing anything else you do. It's writing what you know and what you need people to hear, not what, the bullet points, this is what somebody said in a test, this is what somebody said that made them happy. This is absolutely what they want to hear because it's not about what you want. It never is. And if it is, then they're looking at it all wrong. It's absolutely about what the person who is coming to your product, who's coming to your page, who's coming to your solution wants. And that is the biggest tool of content marketing. Don't market for you, market for them. And again, don't think of it as a formula. Think of it more as like a recipe. You can have all the ingredients, and someone can tell you how to put it together. And it's not going to be whether it's quite as they intended, but if you take those ingredients and you do it yourself, it's going to come out exactly how you want to every time. And people will understand that because you weren't trying to misrepresent yourself as somebody else's ideas. Yeah?
And to couple off of that, a lot of people don't want to write blogs and don't want to be involved in all of that stuff because they're really worried about misrepresenting your brand. Well, people make mistakes. People, make grammatical errors all the time. You go back and you fix it. Yeah, it's on the internet, but you know what? It's erasable. And if you're constantly striving for perfection, then you're never going to get out the kind of quantity that you need to get out. And you're not going to let your voice be heard, and people aren't going to be engaged. And if that's not enough information, when you're done there, can you show me how to post a picture on Facebook? I'm going to talk about images. Images are my kind of thing. I love images. If you look at my Twitter, I like to take people's face and put them on crazy things. I just find that that's how people like to be engaged. They like to laugh. They like to have a good time. Life is tough. Bills are expensive. Things are hard. And at the end of the day, I feel that companies that reach out to me and are not that serious and take that pressure off, I feel like I'm a little bit more connected to them. I feel more engaged. I feel more engaged. Not a lot of people really know how to use images. They just go to Google, pull an image, and slap it on their blog. What use is having an image if it doesn't make any sense? You gotta grab people's attention. I mean, look at this. Did anyone notice that those are unicorn faces? It took a lot of work. Look at this guy. You can do it. Just slap glasses on Uncle Sam. Little tiny things like that. Little tiny mustache on that little tiny man. Little things make a difference. It's just the tiny things that people don't think about because they get busy and you don't have a lot of time. Well, if you're striving for perfection, then you're not going to have a lot of time. You can't do things like this because it's never going to be good. Nothing is ever going to go out. Small copy, images. Who here reads every article that comes in your inbox? A lot of people. I think I'm one, or is it the glasses? No one reads anymore. No one has time. You're working too much, right? Working too much and being serious all the time. Images, they rock. Here's some mind-blowing statistics. Ready? Take your glasses off your head. Make sure your mind is not blowing. 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. Visuals are processed 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. I'm sure when you guys go home tonight, I don't know if any of you have dinner, I'm probably going to think of all my crazy images. You'll remember images more than you remember the copy that goes along with it. Now the trick is to have really engaging copy that goes along with the images. How do you do that? Bullets. Put the words right in the images. 40% of people will respond better to visual information than plain text. If I just had a bunch of words up here, which I'll get to soon, you guys would be bored. It would be a snooze fest. All of you would probably work all day long, probably really tired, and then my voice is just so soothing. You'd be sleeping. It'd be a snooze fest up in here. Visual content drives engagement. It is the key to any content that you're writing. If you're writing pages upon pages of content, blogs, and there's just one image at the top that you think goes with it, you're doing it wrong. Because no one's reading your stuff. And if they are, it has to be some fantastic information. And who are you really engaging? The jerks on the internet that want to point out your grammatical errors? Some other people that want to point to, the stuff that you've done wrong. No one really likes really heavy copy anymore because no one really has any time. Speaking of driving, Charles Lord, you get the award for driving the furthest. So, sorry, I embarrassed you.
You got the right color for the car, too.
But I I wanted to prove a point that, I mean, this is silly, right? It's a car, and I slapped his face on it. Charles has never met me, and I've never met Charles. But Charles said, jokingly, on the Meetup, hey guys, I'm driving from Asheville. Do I get to drove the farthest award? And I said, oh, you know what? Thanks for making my point. Because I'm going to take your face and I'm going to use it. All you have to do, this. This is what your customers want. The customers want to laugh. Life is tough. Life is serious. People at the end of the day will spend money if they have an attachment to you. And how are you going to get that attachment? You're going to reach out to them. You're going to make them feel good about themselves. You're going to remember their birthday and send them some funny something. I don't know that, you know that thing I posted on Twitter? That's how I dance. You know what I'm talking about? Like, people love that kind of stuff. They just like to laugh. They like to be silly. And I'm not saying that you should never be serious, even though I'm never serious, but it just really has its place. That first connection, that's what resonates with people. That connection that you make with them when they say, oh my gosh, that company actually has people behind it that have hearts that just don't want to take my money. 93 of businesses' purchase decisions start with a search engine search. So let me ask you this. What are you guys doing to come up on searches? Is business just the regular old copy, the regular old website, saying the regular old things? Or are you on Twitter, taking people's faces and doing face swaps? And are people like, oh, that's hilarious, like I did to Amber? I didn't put in the Slack, she'd been really mad, but I took her husband, her face, and her daughter's face, and I switched them all up. It was hilarious! She didn't think so, but it was funny. Don't shake off your website. You know, 41% of people say that web design is the #1 criteria for credibility with company. Don't shake it off, but don't make it too stuffy either. Really, do you guys know what facet is? I haven't even been to their website, but I'm just throwing it out there. Yes. Yeah. So, we call it facet in the building industry. I promise you. But anyways, we go there, it's just tape, you know? How much fun can you make it? Well, they could tape up a bunch of people. That would be kind of hilarious if they did that, right? I mean, they could show old analog stuff. I mean, everything that is boring can be fun. You just have to think creatively about it. And that's where you make that connection, when you're thinking creatively for your customers. Stop taking them so seriously. Laugh with them. Because then when you mess up, it's not that serious for them. So you're setting yourself up to be humanized, not corporatized. I just made that word up. So I'm going to tell you what not to do, because I like to tell people what they're doing wrong in a funny way. I guess I found my disclosure about those things. This guy, his name is Example. I'm just stuck in that stuff again. Here is my to-don't list. Don't you do these things ever. How many of you think that this is a fantastic read? Yeah, I see the look of disgust. Mm-hmm. Look at that. I just copy and pasted it. So I love to do that. highlighting. Yeah, I have the statistics written down and you really, maybe I don't have them down. There it is, 56 times. CRM is written in that copy 56 times. Small businesses, small business, 71. I think an introduction to small business CRM. Small business may struggle more than larger business with keeping their profit and sales moving quickly, and small business CRM may be able to improve the way small business works. Small business CRM can. I know, it's ridiculous, right? That is what not to do. If you do that, you're a jerk and you should leave. Google thinks you're a jerk if you do that. Definitely. Called thin content. If you want people to know about your small business CRM, then offer some value, because this is not valuable to anyone. And I would love for the person who thinks it is to give me a call sometime. We'll have a great discussion. This is not valuable, and Google notices when you're not valuable. And this person could have made 4 blogs out of all of this, put some pictures, and been a little bit more creative, but now their website is probably continuing searching. 2011, I got builded like this. Yeah. Thin content. Now I'm going to hand it over to Amber so she can tell you what's right. She likes to tell people how to do things right.
But yeah, a lot of people think that, and when I was writing about Make.Good, a lot of people think that to write good content, you have to be exact and take a long time to say what you mean. I use this particular example in a lot of things. Anyway, one short story and just a few words. Baby shoes for sale, never worn, all never. And he said it was his best work because that tells the entire story. And that's what you need to do. Nobody's interested in knowing, names about the baby or anything like that. That was everything that needs to. That's what you have to do with the content you have. You have to create a connection, you have to create a dialogue, you have to create a narrative. It has to resonate. And this is kind of an amalgamation of some of the things that Heather and I were talking about. It's a little corporate for a reason, because at the end of the day, we need things similar to this because we don't just need images and information. Sometimes we need statistics, sometimes we need, how is this going to help me? And so it's good to make it in small bursts and not just bullet points or anything like that, just because it's more readable this way. When you do images and bullet points, it makes you look lazy. And nobody wants to follow it when you do that as lazy. But you can kind of see the conversation that they're creating with this, the importance of office ergonomics. And asking people, how do you improve your posture? The benefits of ergonomics in the workspace. This entire website, it actually does nothing to sell to that. It does nothing to sell their particular products to the person. It's actually just informational. And that's important because that instills trust. And what happens when you start to build trust is, if you tell somebody that, you're the same, your product is the same as somebody else's products, what's the difference between you and them? Well, as you're creating that trust with them, you're going to be honest, you're going to be open. If you have mistakes, they want to know that, because people want to know that you can learn from the mistakes and you don't take failure and quit, because then what if something happens to your initial customer and things like that. So it's important to make sure that you play with your imagery. You're very, very, very excited about it. And I'm on the opposite end, as in I think it's important. You you can initially engage someone with an image, the copy is where they're going to be invested in your business. I really don't like the word engage. I think it's overused. I think it's stupid. I think anybody can engage. Anybody. That would mean be engaged in a video game. I think if you're doing something correctly with your business and your content, people are invested in you. They're not thinking, oh, this is somewhere, I can go here if I have a problem. You should literally be the only solution to that particular problem. If you're not, ask yourself why you're in business. Because if you don't believe in your company and it's not personal for you, then it's not going to be personal for them. And their money is very personal at times.
I did want to note that I was all right with this copy because it was informational and that they did have a good use of image. I'm not saying be silly all the time because you can't. At the end of the day, people want to know that you're not going to just steal their money, that your product or service is of value.
But if you are going to steal their money, just be honest about
it. But this I really love because like Amber had stated, it was informational, one, and two, the use of images alongside the copy is so important. It goes along with what it's saying. The sitting desk. There's a sitting desk. You don't have to go and look for the sitting desk. You know exactly what the sitting desk is. The standing desk. There's the standing desk. You don't have to go and look. When you're making your copy and you want to highlight a point, an image makes it so much more powerful when you just put it in line alongside it.
And
Well, hot tea talk.
Especially you didn't know. That's part of being in a relationship. And you want to make sure that you have images to go along with your writing, but you don't want to write for that image. You actually have to write for what that image is about. You don't want to say, here's a sitting desk. Oh, here's a sitting desk. Like, then what do you need copy for?
No, hold on.
What I'm saying is that happens a lot. Like people write for SEO and they write for what the other people want to hear. I need you, when you're in your copy, to think about why you're in that position, why you champion that product. Not that, you're saying it's the best product in the whole world. Everybody knows it's the best product in the whole world. So what do you need to say? What do you need to resonate with them? So if you're writing copy and the title, the sitting and standing desk, it's good to have that there. But most of that copy isn't so much about, these are the dimensions of the sitting desk, these are the dimensions of the standing desk. It actually is, if you have a bum sit, if you start to get RLS, that's real good. I've heard that. Restless syndrome. But yeah, so it's more informational than anything, and I really, when writing copy, be as informational as you can, because the more you do that, the more multi-dimensional you are, because when you just use bullet points and you just use statistics and you just use facts, I want you to think about all those textbooks you had to read in college and how exciting they were, and how you're super stoked to read them every time you open them.
But if there were some fancy images to go along with that, you would have loved it.
Or think about how you read a novel. And not just, a fiction novel. Think about all the nonfiction or historical books you read that take you somewhere. You can do that with any single product. But, and it's hard. And most people aren't born writers, and they think that they found what they have to do in life, so they don't want to do anything more. And that sucks. Sorry, you do. You do have to take the time to learn if you want to be good at this, just like anything else. Like riding a bike, trapeze, killing vampires, whatever it is, you have to practice. So yeah, when you think of that
On everyone.
Yes. Do you agree? Of course I do, because you didn't know. But to Heather's credit, what did you say? Put images in there. Maybe you agree with that. Has anybody seen that episode? Has anybody ever seen that episode of South Park where they're like, they have a new terms of service for Apple, and he just clicks agree, and they come and they take him away, and use him as like a laugh rat, and so, well, you agree to the terms of service. So you can't agree to that. So that's another reason to not have such flat copy, because the last thing you want your audience to be misinformed. Because while you're writing to engage them, don't lie. And I know that honesty and marketing aren't related, but they should be. And I think that's the biggest thing I tell most of my clients. You don't have to make your product, your service any better than it already is. You just have to showcase it in a way that people know how good it is. And I think that's really important. Yeah, and you guys know when something's artificial. Like everything does. It's like somebody giving you a steak and telling you that it's steak. It's not meat. But if they tell you it enough times, you might think, oh, this may be a steak. Look at this. Think how it's wrong. Anyways, I'm not a, I don't know why it's going to stop like that. I have no idea. Maybe it's a simple message.
I just throw you off.
You did. I have no idea what that is. But yeah, informational doesn't always mean boring, but it doesn't always have to mean just information. If you say things like, crayons or construction paper, and you put them in the context of somebody making something out of them rather than listing the ingredients on the box, think about it in that particular way. Think about when you're writing content that if somebody knew what they wanted, they wouldn't eat it. You wouldn't buy a cookbook if you wanted a chef. They need you for something. They need your product for something. So be there for them. I'm broken up with this, but it cannot be about you. It cannot be about your company. Go through your testimonials. Go through what other people are saying about you. Even the bad ones. And with the bad ones, don't get like a blog internet fight, because that stuff is no way. The internet is forever.
13-year-old.
It is forever. But if you want to engage them, because engaging them in that type of conversation, whether it's on social media or somewhere else, it's actually good for them. And it's like, how many people saw that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street? People did. And you remember when he was super angry that reporter said all those bad things about him, and then he had a line out the door of people who wanted to work for him? In the end, it's not about getting everything right, but it's getting the feeling right. People don't buy things based on what they think. They buy them based on what they feel.
How many times have you commented on someone and people that are sensitive? And you're like, oh, those jerks. Never again. You're never going to go buy something.
How many times do you try something on, and you don't think it looks good, but the salesperson convinces you that it looks good, and then you take one and you never wear it? Don't lie. You alternate. But it's kind of like that. You know, you can convince them of everything, but they're not going to come back. They're not going to be a repeat customer. You've actually just totally eliminated all trust. And so now you have to go on to the next person and hope that they buy your BS and keep coming back for it. And nobody likes to be told what to do. Advertisers constantly talk at you. People talk at you all the time. Your boss tells you what to do. Your kids tell you what to do. Your husband tells you you can't do something. Your husband tells you have to do something. Your coworkers want you to let you know about something else. They want you to know what you're not doing. Can you imagine if people just stop for a minute and say, can I talk to you? Can I get your opinion? Ask them more and engage them more. Because every time you tell someone to do something and they don't want to do it, they're secretly just writing you off more and more in their head. And then you get that empty listen. And that's exactly what happens to marketers. They get that empty marketing listen. And you think, my SEO is super good. People are coming to my landing page. They want that thing that one time. sell. That doesn't make you a brand, that doesn't make you relevant, that doesn't make you important. And in the end, it's not going to make you a lot of money. So it's important to recognize the crap and duplicate the great stuff. But you duplicating the good stuff, I was a little bit of the technical side of it. You just don't want to keep saying the same thing. Really all super low. Yeah. Yeah. And having to deal with like rules, bipolar mood swings on what it's going to be and what it's not, it's less than possible. So it's important that you can say the same thing over and over. Just put it in different contexts, because you can take PvP to something very, very simple, like a paperclip. And it's a simple concept. But think about how many different ways you use a paperclip in your life. You don't have to tell me, but think about all the things that you've done. Maybe you want to know what's looking, like you did. Any thoughts? You didn't open that door. You needed to fish something out, and really didn't want to put your hand in there. Like, can you imagine how much traffic paperclip? It was related to something like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. It's not just a paperclip anymore. It's all true. It's exciting. But alas, always looking at it with paperclips. But it's really the way you use things and not the way that they're always intended. And that's another way you can think of how when you're having a dialogue. How do people use what you're doing? Not how do they correctly use what you're doing. And when you start to break out, and a lot of companies get bogged down in this, they're like, but I have this specific, I need shoelaces for shoes. That's the only thing you're supposed to be for, ever. And my daughter has bracelets and she's working to dolls and shoelaces. But it's, they're practical in nature. But you can do that with anything. And you always have other stuff. We all need. I'm not actually an editor by nature. I hate editing. I'm a writer, which sucks for editors because I write the way I hear it. I write the way I think someone else wants to hear it. I don't write what I think is important. And I don't write necessarily always grammatically correct. And then I have them change it as much as I would like them. But it actually isn't about, it's not about the word on the page. It's about the message. And what message are you sending across? Not just with your images, your content, but with the story. How do you tell the story? How do you make people want to hear that story that you told 50 times? How do you make them want to hear it again? You make it relatable to something about them. And 3 times you find something new to relate to about them.
Does anyone else have any content issues that they'd like to bring up? You guys are rock stars.
Yeah. It's a big weekend. I'm not going to make excuses for myself. But it's hard to think of a lot of different ways to say this. I procrastinate. And I tell myself that if I procrastinate as a creative person, that when it comes down to the wire, I'm going to get it done and it's going to be good the first time. Which in reality is not true. I can just as easily do it any other time. I just don't want to. But there's something that I tell myself. Is it real? No. Does it help me work the way I want to? Yes. And that's kind of what you have to do yourself. You have to keep reinventing everything. Pick on yourself. So let's talk about these SEO Rockstar Meetup shirts. How come there's going to be a different version of it next week?
Because you should buy one every single month. And then, if that's the case, you can have 12 over the course of the year, and they will become your favorite T-shirts.
But would you try to get people to just buy the same T-shirt every time? Not like you, but you're being practical.
You could.
Right, but how well would that work?
Well, with this design, probably not that good.
It's the middle of the first. But that's how you do it. You do it so other people can find themselves in your work. There's all different kinds of people who read all different kinds of blogs and you laugh at different things, and welcome, Heather. But it's important to understand that this is the writer, I mean, I'm not only trying to write it down, I'm trying to know what it is.
What do you say? Say it in any way?
I know. Yeah. But how many of you have read 50 different blogs on how to create content? How many of them are different? So when you're looking at these blogs on how to, what are you guys looking for?
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts, okay. I mean, that's really one of them.
Creativity.
Creativity doesn't exist in a formula ever. There is no formula out there. They have formula for Photoshop, it's different. That's not the same thing. Creativity is actually the root of honesty and advertising. You actually have to get creative with what is the truth, so people can't always call you an outright liar. Which sometimes they do. Yeah, right. But I mean, for how many years have people sold pantyhose? I'm talking like basic things, pencils, underwear. Like, we know the practicality of these things. I don't want to know if you guys know the practicality of underwear, but I know that the people who are marketing it don't even know about the practicality of underwear, or they don't even know about the fact that, every one of your children entering any single grade is going to have a number 2 pencil. Not a number 3, not a normal one, it has to be number 2. Why do you know these things? I don't want you to think about anything. And if you had to tell somebody your involvement or your how you relate to number 2 pencils, would you just say it's a number 2 pencil? Would you get kind of upset that that's literally the only kind of pencil you can buy for your child? Would you tell a lie and be like, I bought a number 1 pencil and they didn't make a difference? It's in there, but it's not about the pencil. But at the end, that's what they're going to be thinking about. And that's how you say it in the user context. Yeah, these are the people that work at the IRS. and they're auditors.
Problem.
No, it's really funny. I moved like in between seasons I had to call and get my address if they messed up. They are actually really nice people. Like, I don't know why people are so angry at like the actual people at the IRS, but I do know that the IRS's website is nagging, and I can't look at it. It's like I go on t-shirts. The worst place I've ever been. That's my first time. That website, absolutely happy.
Kind of like therapy for you, isn't it?
Put it all out there.
I don't know how to do anything else. But at the same time, when you say these different like facts and bullets and short sentences can be useful, as long as they're relevant. You wouldn't tell somebody that your shoes are pink or shoe laces, so you can walk in them. But if you had an advertisement and you had an image and you didn't have time to state in a narrative, there would be a fun way to say that. Like, if you're hot pink shoes and walk on hot pink poles, something ridiculous, but it can be relevant. But for the most part, when people spit out numbers at you and facts at you, you have the what, but you're left without the why or the how. And that's actually what people end up buying. It's the what and the how. And the 9 times that somebody asks you why, what if you could eliminate them asking that question? What if they had every single piece of information they needed in a way they enjoy reading it, in a way that invested in your company, and then they would have to do anything but put them on? That's what a good content is. That's what a good story is. That's what a good dialogue is. And you do that, you have to practice or hire people. And that's actually just the way it is. There's no secret formula to it. There's no way to really go about it and say, if I can put this here, this here, this here, we get good points. But the only thing you can do to create good content is put yourself in there and put yourself out there. people respond to people are being genuine and silly and ridiculous. And it's just the way it works.
So I'm not saying that I'm always silly and never serious, but for the most part I am. I also think that facts can be fun. I think that you can take statistical information and you can make it fun. There's a quote, and I don't know who said it. There are more genius than you. There are no uninteresting things, just uninterested people. So if your thing.
Betty Draper. Who's Betty Draper?
Was it? Betty Draper. But your thing is uninteresting. Where you think that it's uninteresting, you have uninterested people. If you need to word out statistics, make it fun. Bullets can be fun. This one was pretty fun when I was putting it together. Slapped it up there with some orange swirlies. That's alright. Not too bad. But if I would have just put it on white without anything, and it just said some people just want, well, I probably wouldn't have been that creative. It said people want facts, bullets, sentences, white, plain, snooze fest. I like that word.
Good.
It does. And with blogs, and with SEO, and with writing light copy, I'm not saying write a book and put a bunch of errors in it and just make sure you put low dashes with pictures in there, right? You could, but no, you're just take it seriously. But I'm saying light copy, I know interface is word, engaging copy, the informative copy about how she digs the hair out of her sleeve paper clip. Those things. Those things don't have to take you 3 days to write. Because if they do take you 3 days to write, you're really lagging on the content. You're really putting yourself at a disadvantage of those powerhouses that are pushing out the content and engaging people otherwise. I've been moving all day long, guys. And you are so important to me that I made it.
You did. You're actually what made this whole thing. So it's fun. But I wanted to, on a less, like creative tangential rant. I wanted to kind of put the SEO in perspective for content. And I know we kind of read about stuff and images are good for SEO. And good content is good for SEO. But it's important when you're writing for SEO, especially right now, whatever tool it's doing at any particular time. When I say that you need to write to your audience, you also need to be answering and asking the right questions in the right way. Because people will search for paper clips, but nobody, maybe nobody will be searching. You have to ask the right questions. You have to answer them in a way that will resonate with your audience, but it's still informative. And that's the hard part. And I know that people like to keyword stuff and ask irrelevant questions and put irrelevant copy so they can get relevant organic search results. But again, how many times do you go to a landing page that you thought you wanted it relevant, go back there? It's the same reason. It's the same reason that why when you search for something, you don't go to a page search at the top because it is an ad and it has no relevance. So what do you really need? You're always going to go to the first organic search point. And it's important that that is actually the right one. So when you're writing for SEO in your content, you have to make sure that it's engaging, but you also have to answer the right questions around your product. And when, going back to that, say it many ways, your product can probably do more than you think you can do. But initially, you're going to have to get that SEO in answering basic questions. Like, why my favorite clip? What is my favorite clip made out of? Who bought my favorite clip? and just go down there. And then as you get further into it, the more engaging copy is what's going to instill trust in those repeat customers. I call them believers. I don't like to put people in a consumer-based box, which is weird because technically I work in marketing. But you should really always, when you have any of this SEO content in mind, have them look at you from an organic search point as they have the answer to what I need, and make that SEO content for the answer to what they need. But as they come back, make it relevant and make it just fun. I don't know. That's not what we're
Engaging.
Make it resonate with them.
Maybe
I don't know how many
make it
times you
connection.
guys do a Google search, but I'm a stupid user.
Yeah.
Why is my toenail coming off? I don't, that's a made up question,
No.
you know, but I mean, I
can
just
show you my search sheet.
think about your customer as yourself. You know, what color should I paint my wall? You know, those kinds of questions are what people are really asking Google. So answer them.
And when you say differently, after you're done asking about yourself, ask, what does my sister want to paint the wall? What does my dad want to paint the wall? What does my friend want to paint the wall? Yeah, I know.
I've heard that. Paints her wall.
I know, yeah. Thanks, though. But it's relevant in that it makes a point that you have to write for everyone, and you have to connect with everyone, and you write that dialogue. It has to be creative, it has to be engaging, it has to be funny, it has to proliferate, it has to do all of these things successfully. And the whole reason we're here is to make sure that they can find you in this search engine and make sure you're the right person in that particular problem-solving area. And so that's actually why it's important to have good content initially. Down the road, you really want to write the more creative content. And initially, you write engaging content that tells the truth. Don't lie to them. You can make it friendly, you can build a narrative, but the minute you lie to your customer, they're not coming back. And is it worth losing repeat business because you were too lazy to tell the truth? And that's really how it helps SEO. So it's important in all of this to make sure that you understand that what we're talking about isn't just how to write good content for the sake of writing good content. It will help people find it. And this is how you do it. You will have to do the technical aspects of SEO. But I say all the time, it's pretty temperamental, and you can learn how to do SEO better than you can learn how to do it. It's actually easy. So if you're not a dynamic writer, find a buddy who is, and offer and trade off. Be like, look, you write all your SEO, and then if I need SEO for something, you write it. And make a buddy system. There's no reason for you to sit there and do it. I can't do this. Somebody can, and somebody will help you if you're upfront and honest. But that's really where you have to have that SEO and that good content being considered. Learn SEO as you need to, but write for what you want. Make more sense?
Yeah. I mean, and can you go for a full circle of what I said in the beginning? The financial crisis of 2007 brought about a whole new marketing landscape. And people don't like you to lie to them. And if you really have to lie to your customers, then why the hell are you doing business? Like, why would you sell a product like that? Why don't you find something else to sell? You don't have to lie for that. I mean, who wants that day after day? Because Google has gotten smart enough, but you're not going to fool them. So what are you going to make those phone calls that no one answers? You know, it's really going full circle of the new marketing place. Writing, SEO, it all is the same. It's all organic. It's all, the more you write, the more you engage. It's almost like Google is a superhuman being. And they're becoming so human that they are realizing if you're being engaging or informative or useful. And if you're not, then you're not going to rank. And that's that. You can put as many keywords as you want. But Google, so content that connects people is engaging content. Wait, this guy can pick out of these slides. Content that connects is easy to read, speaks to your audience, has memorable images, is multi-dimensional. You get a slide, not as hard as you think. I mean, it was a little hard at first, but so was writing right. Near got straight. Stop at what? Unless you got really scared.
I feel like it's going to be going out there. Did you really want to go?
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
see that film? I put you up there.
I appreciate that.
So remember, good luck. Be passionate. If you do things with passion, I don't know, maybe Phil can tell me who quoted it. If wonderful things happen.
Betty Draper.
I love that picture. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
And then we had analytics for the action.
You're gonna have to
The
repeat that
majority
question. Repeat it.
The most successful content that I've ever had has been ghostwritten. The majority, Phil was having a tough time with what do I tell them what to do? I make people fabulous because it doesn't really matter to me. Like, I don't want my name to be like, makes me uncomfortable, I was really nervous up here when you guys all walked in, like sweating. And, I don't like that. It goes right. But the most engaging content that I've written has had paragraphs that are maybe 2 to 3 sentences, an image with every other paragraph, and it was brutally honest and maybe used an word or something. People find it crazy. What about you, Amber?
I'm currently in the midst of writing a copy for this website. So if you go on this website and you see that copy, I promise it's not mine. But before I tell you about that copy, we were able to, on every page that I've done in copy, they started to rank at least on the first page where they were 3 or 4 pages back, because they saw multiple products and things like that. They're the #1 provider of technology to governments and schools. And the copy I put up there, and I know that copy because it's my copy. It's if you go to Camcor, it's their account is just someone else, but I do all the copywriting to them. I do all their email copy. CANCOR. And so I do all their email marketing. I do all of their banner ads. I'm going through every single product that they have, which is hundreds of thousands of products, and writing the copy for them. And a lot of people think that's boring, but it's really fun for me as a writer to try to take something boring and make it fun and informational. So that analytics wise, that's the base one of them. If you go to how to take there's how to take a camera, the difference between document cameras. I did the page isn't completely done, and they put half of the copy on there. But this is not my fault. I don't know how to do that part. But if you go to the virtual learning classroom, I was an educator for 10 years, and so writing that was kind of fun. I'm not an education. So that was, you can go there too, and it's very informational. And when I write copy about headphones for schools, I go to some things like germs and lice and how it won't give your child lice. And it's easy to wipe off. You just lice off, you walk away because of the they're all going to break when you put a 3-year-old in front of a headphones. They're going to find some way to break them. They can be titanium blocks in a shield, and they're going to break them and call it an accident. But if you can clean it off, and it's easy, and it's not making you any more trouble than it has to, then that's actually going to make it a better product.
And I don't know if you were asking just to read some copy of mine. I have a copy. It's not my most successful copy. I think it's harder to promote yourself than other people. But you can go to the triangleinteractive.org. I'm the vice president for the Triangle Interactive Marketing Association. And you can also go to citylife.com. It's my new little project. We're publishing a magazine, Southern County. So you can check that out if you just want to see some things that I've done. I wrote the entire website, don't judge me, it's just don't judge me. Not judging me. Is there any other questions? We'll just go in a row. How's that sound? Yeah, we can go.
You made something on the slide. I work for an engineering company, and it's taken me like 8 months to get from the last what copy to is on my heart and marketing, sales, everything is normal. So I work with engineers and we sell to engineers. So your goal is kind of like
that atypical. So the question was for everyone, how do you get the atypical, dry sense of humor, kind of the genius types to laugh and do those type of things. My old previous life, I know I'm 50. Can you imagine? No, I'm not 50, but I am older than you probably think I am. I used to be a technical recruiter, and I found it very hard to engage people for the jobs that I was trying to place them in. Statistical information with funny pictures works. I'm telling you. And go to Reddit.
When you're taking any dry subject that only a certain amount of people is actually intended for or understand, it's important to make it for them. Make fun of things that only engineers would understand. There's probably a number of things that I don't understand about engineering, and I would not find funny, but you're not selling. So, is there anything funny about engineering? Come on. Like, ask yourself, what was the funniest thing that happened in the last week? What is a constant problem that happens in engineering that you guys are all geniuses and you can't fix it? And nobody wants to fix it. It's one of those things that gets swept under the rug. You're not going to look at it. It's ugly and it's unfixable, but you're not going to look at it. Everybody has that in everybody's workplace. You're all complaining about something, right?
What kind of engineering? We do internet and so we do
Right, stories about people who use the actual thing.
The developers in the dark. Like what you found in the dark, coders like sit in the dark and be all weird. I can't relate.
Can I chime in?
Yes. You want the mic?
Yeah.
Mic up, Phil.
I was just going to say, there's a great example. If you go to Twitter and follow Comms Ninja, which is Amy Lewis, she works at Cisco. She started rolling out a YouTube series called Engineers Unplugged, because she could never get engineers to talk. So she put a whiteboard in front of them so they could just be nerdy engineers, and she filmed that, because engineers will talk to each other at that high nerd level, and all she did is put a camera on them. So she's creating content just for engineers that only engineers care about, and it's worked very well.
Thank you. That's really funny because I'm like, you guys got to write long.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Okay, we don't want to write long. All right, folks, I'll see my cell phone and I'll transcribe it.
No, have them write the prompt because that's what an engineer wants to read. They're actually writing the exact right things because if an engineer has a problem and they're looking for a block to solve a problem, they want the problem to solve.
They would do it right now.
So where do we, if you're not a Photoshop expert, where do you test your
Catchy images.
images?
You have a smartphone. So, I'm about to give one of my biggest secrets that you guys are lucky today. Pixel Pro. It's on Android. I don't know if they have it on Apple. Pixel Pro. I expect a check. It's PICSAYPRO. And I'll look just like this. But that's really easy if you're on Twitter. Pull images, put some lots of space on there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just something that can really put that extra added touch. Maybe put some words on there. 85% of us are on our mobile devices anyway, that's why responsive design is so important. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad I could help you. I'll do her, and then I'll come back up in a beat.
So in your opinion, what's the best way to measure all your through these views, comments, and I know you involved in this, that get us to these kind of but not going to engage with the comments. What's the way to use the best way to
So the question is, what do I think is the best way to measure
how well your
content? So I know. So will probably come with me in the shoes. I never look at page views because if I'm not talking to people, it doesn't really matter who's looking at it. So, in my opinion, I would look at how well your copy is doing by how many times it's being shared. That's important. But views, not so much. Comments. And then I would see the platforms that they're sharing it on. Because maybe you need to write differently for different platforms. You know, Twitter, I think, just spouts off more marketing information than is out there. But for other things like world peace, you know, 50-year-olds love to share those photos on Facebook. I mean, there's just different platforms for different things. So I would really measure it. It really takes a hard look. You have to take a hard look at what is being shared and how people are asking questions and who you're really getting engaged.
You guys get that? Facebook is for world peace. Remember that.
Or political debates, you know, whatever.
Religious and political, that's fun. But in a technical way, if you need something to bring to, your boss or board, you're going to look at Google Analytics, and you can look at page views, but you can have 900 page views. I'd actually encourage you to look. If it's a blog, set your blog up on a single page, don't put it with a bunch of other blogs, and see how long people are actually staying on that page, if they're actually reading that content. And then after they read that, are they sharing it? But if you're looking for, high traffic type web analytics, you're going to look at the amount of time they're spending on there and how that relates to social. And you can get that. You can set up tracking systems with Google Analytics and whatever specific web you have. It's actually pretty easy as long as you set your company up for it. And then you'll look at it shows you actually the social distribution per platform. So then if you see something's doing well on Twitter and not Facebook, you can actually change that for each platform. So your content doesn't have to change. It's just the way you put it out there. Like I tell people that Twitter, it's like the title of an article, and Facebook is like the whole article. So it has to be written a little differently when you're putting it out there, but the content can stay the same. But you know what your content is doing by if anyone's reading it. You know how high you want to understand that particular page.
And another thing is, I don't know when you post, but monitor who's following you a couple days afterwards. And if there's a spike in your posts, in your followers, try to make that correlation. A lot of people like to be silent as well. And people don't really want to overshare. Yeah, right. You had a question.
So, so instead of the product, they look at the company and they provide a service. And they're the ones that deal with the IRS, CPA, accounting firm. And the websites that they have and still have currently are cookie cutter like websites. And they now want to invest and take that and create their own website. At the same time, you know, whenever you do your CPA, what image do you have in your account? Boring, number crunchers, you know,
World peace.
what are we doing? Sorry?
World peace.
Well, absolutely. And it's like, how would you make IRS website? Design a
Battlefield.
I mean,
You know,
how
I don't
IRS
want to touch that.
website fun?
Like I would actually encourage you to enhance like the fights that they're fighting with the IRS, like going at the and everything for a second. Like, I would encourage you to take some of the worst stories or the hardest cases, put a little humor in there, in the images.
If you give me your card, I can't think of it now, but there is a CPA in California, or in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a fantastic job at really lightening up. Carl uses them, and he told Carl Stickis, yeah, I must say it wrong, but he uses them, and it's a really fantastic website, and they're really doing a lot of innovative things. So give me your card, and I'll reach out to him.
There are possible to show that on the screen?
I don't remember the name, so if you want me to go through my email, I won't. It's up here. But, and I don't even think it's in the email. I think it's in like Google Chat. So I don't know. It might get a little dicey in my email with all these images, you know.
If you're speaking in generalities,
Where
then
the taxpayer has won, because a lot of times you report it's hysterical. Sometimes the IRS goes to extreme lengths, but it's absurd.
but
Before it
also,
throws them out.
but also make that humanizing case for the people who don't win. Not that you didn't do a good enough job, but what you did for them after you, how you were there. Because if you make yourself more than a CPA, like you make yourself a trumpeter for good, somebody who's actually fighting the good fight, then they'll understand that even when they're fighting the good fight, not everybody wins. And it's important to create a dialogue about who they are and what you're doing. Make it funny, make it enlightening, make it something that there is absolutely no one on this planet who can do it better than you, and you're not even saying that. The people who've done it for us. So that way you're not cheating your own horn. They're not just saying, of course they're saying that. You're not saying that. And I think that's important.
When you lose in the tax law, you go to court bed, because it is Air Force Base in Florida, where they have a golf course. So, I mean, you can have a lot of fun with that for tax evasion, and the consequences are not that bad. You get a tail.
And how do you find me on Twitter? How do you find me on Twitter? I'm on.
And that's my company's Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. I don't want one. The only reason I do social media is actually, it's like, if a sales guy is selling to another sales guy, and they know exactly what to look for, I know exactly what to post because it has to be amazing for me to look at. Like, it has to be the best thing I've seen all day.
And I'm on there.
She's funny.
I'm on there,
She's way funnier than me.
but I'm not really consistent because I'm doing it for other people. So I try to be as consistent as possible, but just like I was saying, it's really hard when you're a marketer, marketing for other people, to market for yourself at the same time. It's exhausting. You're up till 3 in the morning, up at 8. Tough life. It's a tough life being a marketer. And the reason why I'm Mr. Heather, I'm sure you all can just imagine, right? Because I was Googling some stuff one day, and I Googled miss, and it's like a submissive term, so I refuse to use miss ever again. I'm Mr. Any other questions? Yes.
How much time do you spend writing headlines versus writing a blog?
So probably the entire time that I'm writing a blog post, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to call it. And then I save it as a draft. And I find some images. Still thinking about it.
Are we
A
talking
long
about
time.
Are you talking about headlines for like homepage heroes, or are you talking about headlines for titles?
More like H1 for a blog, like something that would be shared
Oh.
on social media.
That is there's a better formula for each one guys, and it's generally, if they're really into something like that, I keep it to, what is it? I keep it short, because it's certain amount of but when you're doing your title or your H1 tags, make them informative, the dry kind of SEO informative, and then connect it to the content on the page. But when you're writing that, you really just want to make it more informational and creative. So look at what you want to say. Like if you make bread in Ethiopia, you want to social media make bread in Ethiopia. Like that's what you do. But in the other pages that you have, like the contact us page or the information page, you can do different things there. Like when you're searching for bread in Ethiopia, you want to go to your homepage, then it's going to be like that.
I totally misunderstood your question.
No, I don't think you did.
It's smart. I really wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking of the headline.
Well, the headline and the title can be different things as well.
Right.
And especially if you're using WordPress as your platform, you can use Yoast so that the Facebook headline that gets shared is different from the regular headline and all that. So, but I'm kind of with Heather that a lot of times I'll write the headline first because it takes me 20 minutes to come up with a good headline.
It's hard.
It is.
I found myself doing that. I might start with a headline,
Right.
write the article, and go back to
Like, that's not
see
even
if that still matches the content.
Why do you need a headline if you don't know what you're going to say? Why wouldn't you write it after?
Do that next time or something.
Because I'm multi-dimensional.
You
That's
are.
right.
I'm eerily